Why would you do anything that's important, that's difficult, that's hard, if you're going to have eternity to do it? You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you say and think. Marcus Aurelius. Man, this one cuts through procrastination real fast. Brings clarity to our priorities. But let me give you a recent example of this. So last night, I'm lying in bed, trying to go to sleep, and this thought dawned on me. This crazy, crazy thought that we all have. And it's on one's mortality. Yeah, we're going to die someday. And this was kind of funny because as a Stoic, you're supposed to think about this every now and then, right? Probably daily. Think about that you're going to die and move on at some point. Think about your impermanence. But I just kind of realized that it's been a little while since I had that thought. And I've been quite busy lately for the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It's been pretty busy. And so I've been focused so much on life and work that I suppose in some sense, I just forgot that I was going to die. And so it's kind of a funny thing. I'm making light of a kind of a dark thing here. Of course, to the Stoics, death is not dark at all. It's just a natural thing, and it's something we all have to go through. But I thought that in me revisiting this, it might make sense to do a short episode on this because, again, it is a core Stoic practice. And it might really beg the question, if you're busy in life, and I say I've been busy, and I have been, but I've also been very happy. I've been very engaged and focused on things, and it's been awesome. I've had lots of dopamine. But the question is, if that is where you are, if you're going through your daily life and things are great, things are going well, and you're so distracted by how good life is that you forget to think about your death, like the natural question is, why would you do that? Like, why would you think about that horrible, terrible, awful thing that's going to happen to you? That we all have fear about. Why would you bring that into your thought patterns if life is going well? And this is kind of a strange thing because I know for me, and I know this is true for most people, when you go through these, I don't want to say depression, but you go through these depressive phases in your life. I remember a time in high school where I felt this way, and it kind of comes and goes for most people where you get these periods where you might not be particularly happy with your life, and then maybe you're in between jobs, or maybe you got fired, or maybe your girlfriend dumped you or something. I don't know. Not that that's funny. That's very sad. But point being, you go through these depressive phases in life, and yeah, you have dark thoughts sometimes, and life is kind of not great. And then really what that points to for most people is a lack of meaning, a lack of purpose, or you're going through some chaos in your life, but eventually, hopefully, you get back on the horse and you get order and you feel good, you feel better, and then life kind of takes you from there. And so it's kind of this weird thing in that when life's going well, you don't really think about death at all because life's going well. And when life's not going well, yeah, maybe you think about it more and you're sadder and you're in a more of a depressive state. And so that kind of comes naturally. So to get back to that question I posed, why in the hell would anyone want to think about their death if things are going well? Man, what a question. And really, Marcus Aurelius talks about this here where he says, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. And the implication there is that it's very difficult for you to prioritize your life in a way that's aligned with Stoicism, certainly, without realizing how impermanent everything is. It's very easy to procrastinate when you don't realize how short life is. And that's the sum of it. And so setting priorities and having a sense of urgency, those are the kind of the two things that this, not the only two things, but certainly the big kahunas here when it comes to thinking about one's death. And so let's tackle those individually. Hey there. Let me thank you for being a listener to this ad-free podcast. If you enjoy the podcast, there are a few things you can do to help me out. A 5-star review on Spotify or wherever you're listening to this really does help, and it's free. You can also sign up for my Substack newsletter or Patreon. Substack free gets each episode emailed to you along with the transcripts in the form of an article. You'll also get access to my live talks, followed by a Q&A afterward. Substack Premium supporters and my patrons on Patreon get access to the recordings and a brief article of those Q&A sessions, access to full episodes of the Paradoxically Speaking podcast, my Steps to Success interview series, Stoic meditations, and much more. Links to Substack and Patreon can be found in the show notes. Setting priorities. Here's the crazy thing. That state I talked about earlier where you are enjoying life, you're loving life, everything's going well. It could be that case, and guess what? You're not living stoically. You could be living a very fun life, but you're not being very stoic with it. And let me give you an example. Maybe you're in between jobs and you got 2 months off of work, and you've literally just been getting up and you've been reading in the morning and you've been chilling out and spending time with friends, and then you've been watching, 4 hours of TV every night, and you got a really good show that you're really engaged in. That's fantastic, and maybe that's stoic to some degree. Again, it depends on your life and who you are. But for the most part, it probably wouldn't be. Like, there's not enough responsibility in there. There's not enough urgency, certainly, if you're watching 4 hours of TV a day. And so, though you may feel fine, in reality, you're not living a stoic life. And so, number one, allow yourself to think about this topic because it allows you to prioritize. And what you might find is that even though you're feeling great, you need this to bring you back on track so that you can prioritize your life. It's very easy to get off track when you don't realize how impermanent you are. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to live forever, and at the end of the day, man, in our heads, that's how we feel. We feel like we're going to live forever until we consciously think about our death. Yeah, we don't prioritize. We just do whatever feels good for the most part. And whatever feels good is not always what's most stoic. And so related to that, deeply tied in with that, is this idea of procrastination. And procrastination is, well, let's define it first. It's putting things off that you know you need to do, that you should do, but you're just putting it off. That's procrastination. By definition, it's something that you need to do. And when you don't think about your death, you actually will very often procrastinate. You'll put things off because why would you have any sense of urgency if you're going to be here tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day, on and on to infinity? It's a very sad reality that a lot of people go through their life and they get to the end, sometimes in the middle, like they get 40, and they realize, oh shit, I'm halfway through my life and I have really nothing to show for it. And so thinking about this allows you to stop procrastinating. Now, depending on who you are and your personality, there is a chance that just naturally being busy and having purpose in your life and being in that flow state I talked about earlier, where you can go weeks and weeks just feeling good and having purpose and being in the moment, and that's fantastic. And so that's the idea of procrastination reduction. Now, let's throw another quote here, another Stoic quote at you from Seneca. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it, which is Seneca's idea, again, kind of Seneca's spin on that idea from Marcus Aurelius, that if you're unprioritized and not overwhelmed and you procrastinate, you're going to waste so much time. And so, each Stoic has their own little way of phrasing this to not waste time. But in sum, it all comes back to that core idea that at the end of the day, if you believe you're going to live forever, you're not going to have any priorities because you can always push it off for tomorrow. And you're going to procrastinate. You're going to push things off because why would you? Why would you do anything that's important, that's difficult, that's hard if you're going to have eternity to do it? And so, going to end this one here with this final thought, this final summary, that if you find yourself in this weird situation where it's been a while since you thought about your demise, it might be worth including that. I mean, to be fair, I should have probably included that in some kind of weekly review or a journaling session. The truth is that for the most part, this stuff happens naturally, and sometimes we get into flow states where things are going so well that we forget about that. And to answer that question at the start of the episode, why think about death if everything's going well for you? It's because they might not be going as well as you think. Maybe you feel well, but maybe you're not living stoically. Maybe you're not living right. Maybe you're wasting a lot of time. Maybe you're procrastinating. So it goes back to this core thing in Stoicism, which is Stoicism is not about always feeling good. Sometimes to be a Stoic means to feel discomfort, and certainly waking up in the middle of the night or as you're falling asleep thinking about death is not pleasant, but hopefully it keeps you on the right Stoic path.